here.
We're not radio
Got the
by
little
appointment.
circle. Awesome. It looks like it's happening. All right. So we got both avenues being recorded right now. Again, this is the G-Man What's the Matter podcast. Thank everybody for tuning in, wherever you are, if you're local here in the biggest little city or if you're anywhere in the world. So today, episode 7, and we're trying to get the first dirty dozen under our belt. I think we're on our way. You know, think we're having fun?
I
Having a
am.
lot of
I'm having
fun.
fun. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yeah, no, I think, so far the guests are really tuned in and fired up when they come in. I don't know what's happening, but everybody is, as long as everybody's having fun, right?
Yep.
So we today are going to be introducing our first segment, introducing the business detective. Of course, that's my brand for my business advising and coaching. Business detective. Basically, we kind of find out what kind of, I don't know, not criminal things the business may be doing, but some of the areas where they may be missing some profitability. And so we have in the studio live Mr. Drew Ribar. How you doing today, Drew?
Life is good.
Is that really your last name?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about that? And you didn't go into construction?
Yeah, strong as steel. And on the phone in southern Utah, we have Ms. Nancy Lane. Nancy, you can hear us okay, right?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Right on, right on. That's awesome. That's always a good thing, when the audio is connected properly. That's a win. That's a win in itself anytime there's a call. So again, we are going to be talking about a little bit of business today. And the gentleman in the studio, is a local business owner, the owner of A&A Towing. That's correct, right, Drew?
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the towing business? Like over 20 years, if I recall.
Well, we went into business with this company in '06, and I've been running it since, so it was my dad and I've been running it since '07.
Whoa, that's generational stuff.
18 years on
Yeah.
that side of it.
But I think you're going to pass it on to your son, if I remember our conversation correctly. Or you're wanting to.
Either
Or
that or
No,
sell it.
we're changing things up now.
You are changed. Okay, we'll catch up on that. And then, but we are going to get to Drew. But before we
I
do,
bet you have stories.
oh man, yeah, tow truck
Oh, yeah.
company. But before we get to Drew, we're going to go ahead and hit Nancy real quick here. Nancy, our connection's good, correct?
Yes.
All right.
I
So Lane Consulting and Networking. That's the name of your business, right?
Lane Consulting Networking.
Networking. Okay.
So yeah.
So tell
I,
everybody real quick how we met.
so I worked in Reno for a gentleman, and one afternoon, Grady's knocking on my door, and he pops in and says, "Hey, what do you do here?" And I says, "Well, I am the CFO controller of the accounting department for this gentleman's little conglomerate of businesses." And we started talking, and Grady and I hit it off. We were on the same page of being fixers of businesses, managers of businesses, and so to this day, we're still working together and having a lot of fun.
Lots of fun. And so you are in southern Utah, taking care of a little business, hopefully having a little bit of fun out there. But
Yeah.
you also, just to kind of divulge some things, so you kind of stepped away from your job and you jumped into the pool full time as an entrepreneur.
I did. A couple of years ago, I started my business because I realized I had a quirky skill of managing businesses for business owners and translating their financial statements into their goals. And a lot of business owners, they are skilled at whatever they got into business for. Whether it's the plumber, he knows how to plumb, and he starts out in a business and doesn't realize that business is more than just being a plumber.
Yeah.
It's handling
Right.
the banker, handling the insurance, handling the government reporting, and doing the banker and all of that kind of stuff. And so I went through and got my CFO certification. I happen to also be a certified management accountant, and I manage businesses for business owners and help them get their businesses to the next level. And that is by increasing their revenue, their profit, and their cash flow, and making sure they understand that those three numbers are different.
Yes, take us through that. We both shared both of our processes that we go through when we're initially talking with a business owner, and they are different. And so, tell people how you anchor yourself to the accounting part of a business, and explain, I guess, in a professional way, where they're going wrong, if at all, of course.
Yeah. So I take the financial statements once a bookkeeper is done, and I put them into basically a spreadsheet, and I monitor 16 different drivers. And these are the foundation drivers. And neatly, all of these drivers fall into one of three categories: either a revenue driver, a profit driver, or a cash flow driver. And we put targets on every single one of them where we want those numbers to be. And each month, I get with the business owner, review those numbers, and say, hey, your revenue isn't going to make what our forecast is. And you wanted to have so much income this year. That might be the drivers that's off. And so we'll put together an action plan this month for all of these drivers. And I typically give them a scoreboard that's color coded. We only deal with the ones that are red, and don't deal with the ones that are yellow or green, and move through the year forecasting where cash is going to be, forecasting where revenue is going to be, and forecasting where profit is going to be, so that the business owner hits their goals. And the biggest problem a lot of business owners don't know is that they can do this. There is a way to forecast where your cash is going to be, a way to forecast where your profit is going to be. And a lot of times it's a lot of numbers, it's a lot of number crunching. And they didn't get into the business of number crunching. And so that's where I step in and help them basically do CFO services for them without having to hire an expensive CFO.
Fractional.
And I can take, yeah, sort of like a fractional, but I would prefer outsourced, because fractional usually means it's a one-time project. And I prefer to work with business owners who really want to move the needle. They want to move towards that goal, whether it's, taking $1 million business and making it into a $2 million business or a $3 million business. I work with all sizes of businesses. My biggest one at the moment is 50 million, and my smallest one is 500,000. So it's a good size range, but business owners need to understand that they have got to watch their parts of their business. Their business is like a machine. Um, Take, for instance, a washing machine. If it's not doing the job, there are parts to replace and to fix to make it work better. And one of the things that we ask of our businesses is to generate cash. And a business owner can do a lot with cash. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee most business owners got into business because they wanted to be able to make money. And a lot of them are struggling because they're not making money and they don't know how. And so monitoring these 16 drivers is key.
Yeah, hey, I think we talked about this, and you hit on it a little bit. Is my conclusion after all these years of being in business and watching businesses is that a lot of times the reason, or one of the biggest factors in why 50% of all businesses fail within about a 5-year period of time is, I think you have what I refer to as technicians, and it's not necessarily technology driven, but some technician defined as somebody that is very good at something that they do, or they're very passionate, and either they get the idea or somebody else says, hey, you should start a business. And just because you're good at something, whether it's art or whether it's running a machine or whatever, that doesn't mean that that's going to equate to being a good business person. And what happens is these technicians, they open up their business and then they find out, oh, I don't know how to do that, or oh, I don't like to do that, and they end up hiring on maybe more staff than they could probably afford at that point, and they get upside down, they get in trouble. And so would you
Yep,
agree with that
exactly.
assessment?
I do agree with that. And that is where getting a CFO can help them bring on the correct people and grow that business so eventually they can hire more people, do more marketing, improve their product or service. And, give you a good example. I talk to a lot of business owners. They get into business and their bookkeeper hands them a profit and loss statement. And it says, you made $10,000 this month. And they will ask me, well, I don't have $10,000 in the bank account. So they don't understand that there's a huge difference between profit and cash flow. They're two different numbers. And it's the most misunderstood concept in business. And, just to let you understand this, there have been huge companies that have been profitable that go bankrupt. And then there's a lot of businesses that aren't profitable and they're still in business today. And it's because those business owners understood the difference between cash flow and profit.
Why don't
So
you
give you an
real quick,
example.
real quickly differentiate that for our listening audience, between the two.
Yeah. So profit is what's left over after you subtract all of your expenses from revenue. And that number is found on the income statement. And there are four types of profits. There's the gross profit, there's the operating profit, there's profit before income taxes, and then there's the net profit, which is net profit after all the taxes. Cash flow tracks actual cash movement between your balance sheet and your income statement because cash flows through both of those financial statements. And most business owners only look at their income statement and think, oh, I got $10,000 of profit.
Right.
I should have $10,000 worth in the bank. And that's not true.
Right.
And give you an example. Toys R Us, hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. They had a lot of profit, but they had no positive cash flow because they had so much debt. On the flip side, let's look at Amazon. They were in business for 7 years before they showed a profit, another 2 years before they had an entire year of profit. But they had consistent cash flow that was positive every single quarter. And that's because they understood what goes into cash flow. And you've got to think about cash flow as profit is more theory, whereas cash flow is reality. And understand that cash goes through both your balance sheet and your income statement.
Okay.
And if your bookkeeper is not giving you a cash flow statement, a statement of cash flows is what it's called, you need to either get a new bookkeeper or give me a call because the balance sheet and the income statement both have changes in cash. And why does that matter? Well, most business owners have payroll to make. And if you don't have the cash to make that payroll, you're out of business. If you want to grow and increasing revenue is the biggest strain on cash. And then if you want to survive by paying your bills on time, you've got to have cash. So making sure that you understand that profit and cash flow are two different numbers is very important in a business.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And
Hey, Nancy,
yeah,
how can people, let me ask you this first before we find out how people can get in touch with you. A lot of business owners, of course, all over, they run the gambit. Like, what is your avatar? You mentioned you're between 500 to I think 50, but that's a big range. Let's say, so let's pose it like this: if you're a business owner out there right now, you know what I mean. What type of avatar is somebody that you can really help the most?
I help all business owners that come to me.
Dang, that's a
And
good answer.
whether it's a one-time issue, or it's my monthly service of reviewing your financials and translating those for you to connect the dots between your goals and your business. I will say that most business owners who have $1 million or more revenue tend to be able to afford me, but I work with all business owners. It's my passion for you to meet your goals. And frankly, I feel I can do more for my community by helping business owners who employ people in their community than any kind of government agency. And if I can help a business owner keep his employees employed, I'm helping my community. And so I'm not turning down any particular business owner.
I love it. I love it. So how can people get in touch with you, Nancy?
The best way is via email. It's nancy.lane@lanecfo.com, or you can go to my website, lanecfo.com. And just know that I've got a whole slew of other CFOs that are behind me. And so if you can come up with a problem, I have a network of CFOs that are in my network to help me. And we work here in the United States and in Canada. We actually are trying to grow internationally. But just remember, revenue is good, profit is great, but cash is king.
Cash is king. All right, Nancy, I want to thank you for coming on today. Really appreciate it. And we will, when you get back in Reno, definitely get back in touch with me, and we'll have you on the show. Have you come down to the studio. Want to make sure that we can do everything to help you out.
Grady, thanks so much.
Okay, you have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Nice lady. Yeah, Nancy Lane
Sharp.
with Lane Consulting Networking. So let's turn our attention to Mr. Ribar over here. Of course, a business owner also, and Drew Kell. He has some pretty amazing stories, as you're going to find out.
I can only imagine the stories from a towing company.
Yeah, tell us some. Yeah, get a couple good war stories, things that happen at 3 a.m. in the morning. Besides all the obvious, bad stuff that sometimes happens with accidents. But
there was a freight train years ago before the pandemic and everything happened. A couple times we went out and did it. But we'd go out and clean up freight train accidents and
like a derailing.
Yeah, derailing, okay. And then when there's a bunch of cars on there, they fall off the train and go everywhere. And
never thought about that.
Yeah, the devastation that causes is amazing.
I can only imagine. Especially like if it's in a neighborhood and, in a city or something like that. Out in the country, it wouldn't matter. But
now this was out in the middle of the desert.
And it still causes like crazy damage to the vehicles, of course. But
the vehicles, to the freight trains. I mean, these freight cars fly off the tracks and go all sideways and scatter. And
right. Now that I think about it, well, God, when we were kids, remember the big rail work train?
Yep.
Every once in a while that thing would go off track, and I hated to have to put that stuff back together. So I can only imagine in real life what you're talking about. Physics ain't no joke.
No, it really isn't.
That's pretty amazing.
It wins.
Yeah.
Done, all kinds of stuff. Flipped trucks over, pulled cars out of trees.
Oh my God.
Out of a tree.
Oh my God.
Where was that one at?
That was up in Washington State years ago.
Okay.
Wow. Here in Sparks, what was it, 10, 15 years ago? I forget now. There was I guess it was an angry boyfriend, got upset one night, drove his car into who he thought was his girlfriend's house, but it wasn't really their house.
Oh,
I remember that.
It was another couple, and they were laying on their bed sleeping, and the car landed right on the bed.
What?
on top of the people.
Did they make it?
Yeah.
Oh, they turned
lived.
out
It
okay.
was amazing.
What kind of a story was that for them to be able to tell at their cocktail parties?
Pulled the car off the bed out of the house. Oh yeah, a few things.
That's amazing.
Cars crash into buildings, go drive into the 7-Elevens wherever.
Oh
they
yeah,
go.
that
Yeah,
happens.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Kelly and I were laughing because, of course, we have a guest named Drew and
And our other guest
Nancy
name is
Lane.
Nancy.
There you
So
go.
Nancy Drew.
Here we are.
We're such dorks.
Who did? Yeah,
Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, a hardcore fan. I was a hardcore. I
never really
loved all
got
that
into
stuff.
those.
See, I wanted to be
books. I don't know.
a detective when I was a kid. I wanted to
Oh,
be a
maybe
PI.
that's why.
Yeah, so I read all that stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about law enforcement stuff in a little bit, but let's find out about Mr. Drew Ribar. So, where did you grow up? Where are you from? Did you grow up here in Nevada, or?
Grew up between mom and dad were split, so mom was up in Washington State.
Okay.
So mom up there, wintertime school. That was Edmonds, Washington. And then dad and all his family are down here. I've got a couple hundred cousins literally down in the area here. Down here in the
Did you say a couple hundred?
Yeah.
Cousins?
Couple hundred cousins.
Oh my god!
Legitimately?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
What?
Big
Are you guys
family.
Catholics or Mormons?
I started to say, yeah. I was gonna bring up the LDS thing. So
Grandma's sons multiplied.
man,
How?
yeah. So they grew up somewhere where there wasn't too much to do, except I love it. Now, what brought you to Reno? When did you come to Reno?
Oh, this time permanently moved up here or down here in 2007.
Okay.
And before that, I'd been down here with dad a few times.
Did you fall in love with it the first time?
Oh, always loved it.
Yeah, right.
I remember being a little kid. My uncle used to own all the Shell gas stations in town. A guy named Mickey Swain, and his favorite gas station. There's the new parking garage across from the Circus. It's what I call the new one. And there used to be a Shell gas station on that corner.
Wow.
And I remember being a little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it still there?
No, he owned that land, and anyways, Circus had to pay him some money to get it so they could build their parking garage. And then they built the new Shell gas station just kind of kitty corner a ways down there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But that whole Circus used to be a store. It was a department store. I remember before the Circus opened up, Grandma'd go in there and she'd drag me by the hand and she'd go buy shoes and stuff. So
wow, so you've been around a long time.
I was going to say
Yeah.
you are definitely legacy Reno.
Yeah.
no, I grew up between both places. I just know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but still, yeah, you were young. What was the youngest age that you were in Reno?
But I remember
Yeah,
probably 6.
that's what I'm
Oh
thinking.
yeah,
That's
that's legacy Reno to me.
But I remember.
yeah.
How
for
old are you
sure.
now? You Gen X?
57.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I just turned 57 in May. When's your birthday?
5/9, May 9th.
Me too.
There you
What
go.
the hell?
What?
There you go.
Oh my
And
goodness.
you know that Reno was born May 9th, 1868, right?
Lots of things happened.
And we were born May 9th, 1960. I was
Right.
born to live here. I'm from the East Coast originally.
Right.
And I was obsessed with this place from 1991 on. Finally got here in 2012 and found that out after I moved here. I was like, no wonder.
It's the
born
best
to
place
live
to
here.
live. It's the best place to live. I've been here almost 30 years, and
I
we're all
tried
saying
to
the
leave
same.
and came
Don't
back.
you guys stay away. Don't nobody move here.
Right.
We got enough here.
Right? We're closed. Reno's closed.
So you
sucks
you
now.
moved here right after McCarran was
97.
open. But 97. No.
Yeah.
And McCarran was open in like 1984, if I remember right, 83, or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah.
So I remember
Yeah.
driving around it right after they opened it.
I remember
we
when Park
moved
Lane
here-
Mall was the end of town pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
moved
Damani
here
Ranch was actually a ranch.
right a day after the flood.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
wow.
I'm sorry. We were going
In
to move
05?
here a day after the flood, but we delayed it 10 days because of the flood. So we actually came in around the 14th of January, 97.
Oh, 96.
But yeah, we were watching, CNN back when they were actually a news station, and just like, oh, this is a national disaster area we're moving to, honey. So, what?
Tell everybody that this is a national disaster area. You don't want to come here.
That's right.
You can come visit.
Current news.
You won't want to live. You won't want to live
We
here.
got a lake out of the flood.
So now, what was your before A&A Towing? What was your occupation? What were you doing?
Oh, I've done a few things. I was
You
ran-
check the statutes and limitations yet? You
I
know?
ran some online businesses, did a bunch of Amazon selling.
Okay.
Did a little bit of that. Primarily, I've been in the car business all my life.
Ah.
So before this, I was um, in the car dealership business. I went from cleaning cars, selling cars, doing the finance office, general manager of a dealership. Um,
Good deal.
done,
And
done a
then
bunch of stuff, and then before that, I was going to college and driving a tow truck. I started driving a tow truck when I was 16.
there's the
Wow,
tie-in.
there it is.
There it is. I was going to ask, so how did you come from being in the car business to tow truck driving? So take us through that story.
Well, when I was born, my dad owned, like I said, my uncle owned some gas stations. My dad owned some gas stations back in the late 60s, early 70s. And then mom and dad got divorced, but dad owned tow trucks when he owned the gas station. So I've been around them since I was born. And, turned 16, always liked cars, liked playing with trucks. 16, learned how to run a truck.
Yeah. If I think about that, so back when we were growing up, that's right, because tow trucks primarily were at gas stations,
Yeah.
right? There wasn't like tow truck yards or somebody that only had a tow truck. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the history of the business.
Yeah. So now there's of course tow trucks that are tow truck companies. They don't have anything to do with gas stations. And so thinking back, why did that happen? Why did it come from tow trucks being at gas stations until where people start to just open up?
In some
tow
states,
truck?
I think it still happens. In Nevada, Nevada regulates everything. And to get a towing license is difficult. To get a taxi cab license is difficult. To get a limo license is difficult. To run any transportation business in the state of Nevada is extremely difficult because you deal with what's called the Nevada Transportation Authority.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own a gas station now and you want to have a tow truck, you have to go get the separate license and deal with the separate bureaucracy
Tax.
and all these separate rules and just bureaucratic garbage. It costs a lot of money to deal with. And if you're running a gas station, that's a different type of business. And most gas stations don't have automotive repair anymore. They've turned into convenience stores. So you've got the change in the industry of the fuel dispensers,
Right.
that now have convenience stores, and they don't really fix cars anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't need tow trucks. And the regulatory environment just really precludes it from happening unless you're really into it and want to deal with.
Was that do you think that's a good thing for that entity, not the entity, but for that,
Industry.
business and industry? Yes. Thank you.
Do I think the regulation is good?
No, the transition from the tow trucks being at a gas station to where it's now more centralized and more specific. Do you think that's been a good thing, or?
Well, I think part of it is due to the regulatory issues,
Right.
and I think that's a bad thing.
I say no.
Yeah.
I say no.
Because if you're a young man starting off in life, or a young woman, however you want to be with that,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to go do a job and you want to go do something. In today's world, it's extremely difficult to start your own business.
For sure.
So if you want to be in the construction industry, you've got to go deal with the contractors board and get a license. If you want to be in my industry, you've got to go deal with Nevada Transportation Authority and get a license. Heck, even if you want to go sell cars on a car lot, you've got to go get a license as a salesman. If you want to work in a casino, you've got to get a license.
You used to have to have a license to talk on the
You have to
radio.
have a license to be a salesman on a car lot?
I understand there's a
Like-
requirement for
Wow.
car dealers to have their salespeople licensed.
What a bunch of bullshit.
So how is this what's happening? So the businesses cut 1099s. Is that why they'd have to have a business license? I don't understand. Like
Because
if they're on a payroll,
the state wants to regulate and know who's doing what and control what's going on and have their bureaucracy, is my opinion.
kind of in a weird way, because when you're in
That way
casino,
they can pick and choose who they allow.
right? Exactly.
If they're
Gatekeepers.
buddies,
another
they're
gatekeeping.
if this is collusion. It's an opportunity for collusion. That's
So
why the centralization is the same thing.
It's a
Yeah.
way to create taxes and
Yep.
fees.
More
Yeah.
fees, more taxes. These people, I mean, like I was a licensed massage therapist, and I moved here from Dallas, and it should have been like a no-brainer to have that license just transferred over, and I could open a business and start working here. It took 9 months to get my license transferred from Texas because the lady who ran the massage board at the time, she's now long gone, but at the time was so protectionist of the existing massage therapists that they threw. I had to go to a hearing.
Why do you need a
Was there- I
license to
started
give a
saying-
massage? If
Yeah.
if the
And
person likes
hardcore, you have to go through hours.
if your
of
client likes
education.
the massage you give, they'll come back. If they don't like it, they won't.
Right, but because of the
why-
Yeah,
because of the
general business
sexualization
license,
of
you
it.
can see that,
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're. I'm in business. I'm exchanging the services or goods for a fee, and the government wants.
It's
their
none of their
share.
goddamn business.
But why do you need to go through all of this
You don't.
stuff and training and continuing and for
And the people who are doing the inspections of your training and certification and all this bullshit that you've had to go through have no idea what you do for a living. They can't do it. They're not competent at it. It's not like they're peer reviewing you.
Yeah.
They're just some bureaucrat who's getting paid $15 an hour to look at a piece of paper and sign a check or deposit a check.
yes. I mean,
We as the business people and entrepreneurs of this country have got to stand up and say no fucking more and just stop paying taxes. So, make them come after us because this is insane. The level
Well, that's
that
the
this
big
crap has
club
gotten
right
to.
there. If you go too far, then they threaten that they're going to take your money or put you in a cage.
yeah.
That's the long and short of it.
And we have got to stand up and say that's ridiculous. Where do you even get the authority to do such a thing? And like you're talking about First Amendment audits and things like that. We need to audit every single government entity out there, starting with
and
the Fed
that's
on
the
down.
that's the rub, because like when you think about, of course, we talk about Constitution, constitutional law, citizens' rights, Bill of Rights, and things like that. And I think we were talking about this last week, where most people don't understand that this has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it first started with the Magna Carta,
Right.
and that's again a Machiavellian type of approach where it's basically old school way of how to manage your kingdom, so how a ruler should properly manage their kingdom.
Yeah, to
And then-
apportion land and
Well, no, even
Stuff like
before that. So think about back in the barbaric days, of course, before there was laws, of course, from the king, but then when you're out in the village, you're out in the wilderness, it's law of the jungle.
Right.
Right. And so eventually it came to the point to where, again, the Machiavellian aspect was you need to be able to give your kingdom, give the peasants a voice. And so, well, what do you mean? So, okay, so then have the punishment fit the crime. If guy steals some fruit, you don't cut off his head,
right.
but you can cut off some fingers. Right. And having a voice was when there was something that dastardly happened, whether there was some atrocity against a woman, or again, anything that happened that was not popular in the village, then you put him in the public square and thumbs up or thumbs down. And then when the crowd said off with his head, that was their voice. Now flash forward into our current times, our voices are vote that we get every couple 2 to 4 years. And at the end of the day, it's like Carlin said, they don't give a fuck about you.
Not at all.
It's a show, and so all these, for example, all these protests that were happening, stuff like that, you have hundreds of thousands of people across the country that are out there exercising their perceived rights, and going out there and standing up for themselves. But at the end of the day, what happened? National Guards are brought in. And of course, you can say that these are for plausible reasons because we don't want anarchy and chaos, going in our streets. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that our voices only go so far.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the people that are in charge of all this stuff, a lot of times they do what they do and they don't care. And so that's one of the things I want to talk to you about in a little bit, Drew, here. But let's finish talking about some business aspects first. So with your company, I always ask this. So what is the biggest challenge that you're going through? What's the biggest frustration, I should say, that you as a business owner are experiencing in today's world?
Employees.
Always.
Okay. Like in what way? Like everything as far as like punctuality, reliability, work ethic. What are you referring to?
All of the above.
Okay.
They're all employers are always your
Employee theft,
biggest stress and highest cost
failing
center.
to do their jobs,
Mm,
that not caring, not showing up.
Yep.
They just don't give a shit.
right. It's like Elon, love him or hate him. The one thing that he said that you need in order to get things accomplished, you have to have
Employees.
competent people that are capable of doing their job,
And care.
and you have to have somebody that cares.
Yep.
And so I think, yeah, what you're basically saying is that is it everybody, or is it the generation after Generation X? Because Generation X has a good work ethic.
Some of us.
I mean,
I've had
in
bad
general,
ex-
in
I've
general,
had bad experiences
compared down for
with.
sure.
yes,
But
I've
can be
just had
just
in
as
general
shady.
a lot of bad experiences.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you being proactive? What are you doing to thwart that, or what's the solution, if any?
I got rid of just about everybody that worked for me, and I'm rehiring everybody.
Oh, how many employees did you have?
I got rid of in the last year probably 8 or 9 now.
Okay.
Wow. Good
And
for
then
you.
now are
Whether
you
they've just weaned off or gone away.
running a skeleton crew, or did you replace all those people?
I'm working on replacing them. I've
Okay.
hired a few people, so I'm
Okay.
still working on hiring more people.
Yeah. And then, so what are you looking for, if anybody's listening? That
People that want to run a truck. I
Uh-huh.
can use some office help. Basically, tow truck drivers and some office staff.
Tell me about the training. Like, if somebody has no experience, but they say that'd be kind of cool. And again, you don't want to sugarcoat things. What can they expect from the job? It doesn't seem like
You work hard.
Yeah, I started to say it seems like there's a lot of hard work.
Show up and do
that.
what needs to be done.
Yeah, you saw all that any job is, whatever it is. I do anything anybody does. The only thing you're doing is you're solving a problem for another human being. That's the purpose of business. You're solving a problem for another human being. So
Right.
in my case, my business is very simple. You've got cars that are broken down. You've got cars that are junk and garbage that are parked in people's neighborhoods. You've got people that crash their cars. You've got people need their transportation moved when it doesn't work for whatever reason, or they go to jail, or whatever happens in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm something you need, not me personally, but the industry itself.
Yeah.
You need the service of moving these cars, this chunk of metal that takes up space in the world in front of the road, and you move it from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
That solves a problem. It gets it out of the public's way and public's view, and cleans up the streets and goes into the recycling stream of everything.
Right.
And
you had mentioned this before. It's kind of like one of the bummers of what you do is that normally by the time you're interacting with a client for the first time, they're not in the best mood because their car broke down or something like that. And that can be a challenge, right?
nobody wants to have their transportation not work. Nobody wants to deal with a towing company.
Right.
We're a necessary evil as far as,
Mm-hmm.
The only reason we're there is you're having a problem.
Exactly.
Unless you're the cop that was calling us because you took somebody's car and somebody did something and you arrested them.
Yeah.
Or they went to the hospital, or, never came home again.
Right.
And the cop simply wants you to get there and move the car and get it out of there. And he's happy to see you because, well, the car's out of there now.
Do his job.
Now he can go home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, maybe that's the only one that's ever really happy to see you. But other than that, you locked your keys in the car, your battery doesn't work, your life, your day is inconvenienced. So it's, you don't want to call me.
I did lock my keys in the car one time, and I was happy to see the tow truck driver when he came.
I have to carry a second set because I used to do that so often.
But you never wanted to call us.
No, it's like a dentist.
Yeah.
It's like a necessary evil kind of thing.
Right. It is. It's a necessary service.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and you're not in the best position when you need it.
So, is there like an area that you could like market? I think we talked about this before because that's a challenge, right? So I always talk with business owners about identifying your target market, finding out what their hot button is, want, need, or desire. And so, but again, yours is like random circumstance type of stuff. There's nothing that you can really target, right?
Well, no, in my business, it's the insurance companies control it. The insurance companies control my business. They control the body shops. They control the automotive industry, just like they control the healthcare industry. They control it in a little bit of a lesser of a way, but they control it. They pay for most of the cars that are in accidents that they've got insurance on. If you've got a breakdown, you've got generally some type of motor clubs on your insurance company. They're going to pay for some towing for you, or you've got AAA, which is really just another which is just another insurance company. So, whether you've got Geico, you've got AAA, you've got State Farm, you've got Farmers, you've got all the other different insurance companies, and you buy their roadside assistance.
Mm-hmm.
They're controlling the pricing. They're controlling everything. They're just contracting with whether it's my company or another one of the local companies in town or nationwide.
Right.
And they're determining the rates, and they're bidding the rates down between all the different companies to get the best rate for themselves so that they can make the profit. And the small businesses, like most tow companies, are owned by small family businesses. You just deal with that. There's a change in the industry, though. Lately, a couple companies here in town were bought out by some multi-billion-dollar trust funds or whatever, investments.
Really?
And they came in and they've bought 2 companies here in Reno, and they bought a company down in Las Vegas, and they've got trucks basically all the way across the nation.
When you're saying company, you're talking tow companies.
Tow companies,
Yeah.
right. So the industry is undergoing what I see as a consolidation right now. It's going from owned by small family businesses, where,
Like everything else.
if my company picks up your car, then my family's going to benefit. My business will, we were just talking, the last guest was talking about cash flow. I get that cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And that cash flow is, instead of being diverted to me, that puts back into this community, or one of the other local owners that own the local towing companies, the money's put back into this community. Now that this huge investment companies come in with these 2 companies that do a lot of business around here, part of that money is being taken out of the community. So it's being sent somewhere else in lining somebody else's pocket, or, they've got so much money that when I go out to dinner, it makes a difference in the community.
Yeah.
When they go out to dinner, they're not really affecting anything because they got so much money stashed away anyways. It's, what it is. Just my opinion.
The big conglomerate. So, fill us in, remind me and fill Kel in on some things that happened a few years ago that you shared with me before, relating to tow companies and what the DMV did to kind of, let's say, just shake some money down off of the consumer tree.
God bless the DMV.
Yeah. So share that with everybody.
Well, basically what the DMV is, everybody knows that, you used to be able to walk into the DMV and, do your business in one day, right?
Right.
Now you got to make an appointment that takes weeks and months and however long it takes to get. But what was it? Back in 2019, the DMV got a new director, a gal named Julie Butler. She's since retired, and there's now a new gal, the director of the DMV, Tanya Laney.
Did you help her retire?
No.
Okay.
No, she just got to retire and get her pension and, taxpayer dollars, live her life. And a guy named J.D. Decker, who is the chief of the DMV Police Department now. I don't know why the DMV need their own police department.
I have not heard that.
Go to the sheriff, go to highway patrol.
When did that happen?
They've had a police department for many, many years.
Really?
But that all changed, and what they decided at that point in time is they needed to look into the towing industry because they said we were fraudulent.
Who's they?
The DMV.
DMV, okay.
Fraudulent.
And I don't know what fraudulent was, so I did a public records request, and I said, show me what's fraudulent. And didn't get a response. There was no fraud to my public records request. So, but they said we're fraudulent, so obviously the government must be true. Sorry.
No, keep going.
So what they started,
same spirit animal.
Stand up and give it the finger.
So what they started doing was they started changing regulations. Except the way that the DMV changes regulations is they type an email and send an email and a memo out and tell all of the people that process the paperwork and the law enforcement, this is our new policy, and you're going to go enforce it as law. And
so they're not.
That's not
they
legal.
they can't make laws.
That's not
They're
legal.
not. That's not their job.
But they do. It's okay. Not really, but this is how they look
It's
at it.
definitely not okay.
So anyways, they write an email, they write a memo, and for example, I've got emails showing where they just the company sold them because it would lead to profit for us. That's what the email from JD Decker said.
Oh, so it would be profitable for the towing company?
Yeah.
And so what, like, yeah, I mean, that's
Well,
been going on for a long time.
That's why you're in business, is to make a profit so you
Exactly.
can feed your family and
Right.
go out and have dinner every once in a while.
And you're not the one that determines whether it was salvaged. It's the insurance adjuster, correct?
Well, salvage titles they're a matter of law.
But I mean, salvage, so like if there was an accident, there would be an insurance adjuster that went out and said it cost more than this car is worth, and then they total it.
Yes, now it's
Right?
salvage
That's
because
what I'm saying.
Right.
So
If somebody else
ultimately,
repairs it after that,
yeah.
it becomes a salvage
So
title.
ultimately, you guys are not determining whether something
No.
is a total loss.
No,
That's
that's
the
not my-
insurance.
That's the
not my
adjuster's
job.
job.
But
Yeah.
once you get that car, why did they say that you can't make money off of it? Because you could sell out the parts, you could sell the entire
Well,
vehicle,
no, hang on.
right?
You can't sell the parts, because if you sell the parts, now you need a wrecking yard license, because that's regulated too.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's just stupid. Like, yeah. So okay.
if I want to
Keep
dismantle
talking.
cars and sell cars as parts, I've got to get a wrecking yard license. So there's a license and a rule for pretty much anything you touch within the business,
Mhm.
and everything is very specific as to what you do. But basically, the short story is DMV has been creating ad hoc rules, fake laws, and enforcing them as law, using their guys with their guns and their badges to come around and intimidate small businesses.
Right.
Me specifically, I've got an email where they wrote an email about me that says, "Cite him for everything we can, and we'll figure it all out later."
That sounds like
Did you
some
get a
sort
good
of
lawyer?
retaliatory. Yeah.
Well,
The
that's
first damn thing I would have done was taken
Yeah.
that straight to a lawyer and sued their ass so hard.
there's a whole
It's not that easy, huh?
getting
Doesn't matter. It would hang them up.
getting an attorney in Nevada to represent you on a civil rights case is very, very, very difficult. So I'm pro se on, I think, 4 cases myself right now.
Wow.
Just because I can't find people to represent me.
Outside,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, outside of the DMV fiascos, how do you think like our local business, community, the temperament is in general, outside of government interference? I mean, is it our local business, our local business trades, is the climate where is it dog eat dog, or do people kind of kumbaya and try to help each other out?
In the towing industry, it's you fight for your contracts.
Yeah.
If you want to, I was competing against one of my competitors years ago with an insurance company, and we kept every other day he'd call and lower his prices, and I'd call and lower my prices, and finally, we were just battling back and forth, and so you can get to that point.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things where contracts are mutually shared. So local government has a rotation for towing. If the Reno cops and the Sparks cops call you, there's a rotation that's used. That's every company gets their fair share of the public government work.
How do they keep track of that? That makes sure
They just
everybody's getting fair share.
They just have a list, and they go down the list and make the phone calls and call one company after the next company for
And
everything.
that's legit. They don't play favorites with somebody, like
not that I've ever
skipping
seen.
over somebody, or okay.
Now the Nevada Highway Patrol does. They got a company called Auto Return. It's now called Atura, and this is where the government makes fake regulations and fake laws that create illegal fees, ad hoc taxes to benefit their billionaire buddies. And so what happened? 2016, 2017 is a company called Auto Return came in Nevada, and they first went into Metro down in Las Vegas, and they signed a contract, and Metro agreed to use them, but they had to get the Nevada Transportation Authority to add a fee to the model tow tariff. The tariff is what regulates all the tow companies, how much you charge for a tow. You can't charge a penny more or penny less than the government allows you to charge. So they came along and they said, well, we're going to add an administrative fee and require the towing companies to pay this out-of-state auto return company $25 for every time law enforcement calls a tow truck.
That's the one that you were telling about before. Yeah.
Well, the legislature never authorized this $25 fee. the Nevada Transportation Authority, when they created the fee, never did followed what's called the Nevada Administrative Procedures Act. And that's the law that says this is how you make a regulation. Now, what is a regulation? A regulation affects businesses. And anytime you do anything that affects a business, small business specifically, the government's required to do public meetings to create this regulation. They're required to get together with all the business owners, and they're required to do what's called a small business financial impact statement. And that's where everybody gets the numbers together that says how much money will this regulation cost. And then they're supposed to send it down to the Legislative Council Bureau, and the Legislative Council Bureau is supposed to codify it and all this other stuff. And now you've got a regulation that the government can enforce. But instead of doing that, the Nevada Transportation Authority just said, well, we're going to make a rule and add this to the tariff, and everybody's going to pay it and send these people money. And if you don't get this share of government work.
So who's the person that, in essence, rubber stamped this? No, don't get yourself in trouble. But
well, I won't get myself in trouble.
Yeah,
Governor Lombardo is sheriff.
oh,
He signed the initial contract with auto
Wow.
return. So Lombardo created this tax with auto return because he was the sheriff of Metro,
mm-hmm.
and
Now you confronted the DMV on this, didn't you?
I've sent a letter to the governor. I've sent a letter to the Transportation Authority. I've done a lot of stuff to solve the problem.
Uh-huh.
My next step is a lawsuit, and I'll bring that as I've got a bunch of lawsuits I'm doing personally right now.
Right.
And this is just one more to add to the plate. Lawsuits take a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason attorneys charge what they charge. And doing your own lawsuits, I don't begrudge the attorneys what they charge. Everybody can't afford that though. But it's a lot of work to manage a lawsuit.
And it's purposely convoluted that way.
And
so what do you let me ask you, are you able to maybe share a win or a failure kind of story that taught you a valuable lesson in the business, in the tow business? Win or failure?
Win or failure?
Yeah, that taught you a big lesson in the towing business. He's thinking. I like that.
I've had a lot of wins.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been in business for a long time, and I've had a lot of failures too. The failures are the ones that you learn the most from.
They're the ones you remember the most, right?
You remember them the most. They cost you the most. They're very expensive lessons, but you learn them.
Right.
Wins, just staying in business as long as I've been in business.
Mm-hmm.
Failures. I want to be out of business now and just work for myself. I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I've done it for a long time, and I'm.
So are you ready to sell?
Yeah,
for a business broker type like
yeah.
thing? Mm-hmm.
Before I walked in here, that's who I was on the phone with. Was
I
beautiful.
actually may have somebody for you to talk to.
Yeah, I have a couple of business brokers also.
Yeah. You know Brian Cassidy?
Yeah,
that sounds familiar.
Talk to him.
Down over there next to Truckee River.
Yeah, he just got out of his business, and he just got his license to buy and sell.
Broker.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm
yeah, give Cass a call.
I'm just
yeah, you're at that point.
I've been dealing with the government for so long that's just, in my opinion, corrupt.
Oh,
and when you've got corrupt government, then it causes problems in the business with the employees too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a big
clusterfuck.
Yeah,
you can say it.
And
we're a podcast.
And I mean, I was one of the biggest tow companies in Nevada for a while. For a while, I was the only guy running in Las Vegas, Carson, and Reno, and the three population centers. And there's a couple other guys that are doing that now too. That one's moved into town, but I did that, and then the pandemic hit, and then the government corruption started, and I'm looking at all these things, and I'm paying this fee, and there's a law. There's a law. It basically says that a tow operator shall not remunerate or compensate anybody for a notification of a call, and it shall not be remuneration or compensation if a tow operator gives a customer a sign. I can give you a sign, but I can't give you anything else to be notified of a call.
What do you mean?
That's, yeah.
Well,
You mean so like
I can't pay.
you can't pay somebody to generate leads for you or referral fees?
No, I can't pay you. I can pay advertising expenses, but I cannot pay anybody like an apartment manager to notify me.
Okay.
I can't pay a kickback,
Right. Right.
but I've got to
Oh,
pay
and that
this.
makes sense. I mean,
Right.
I get no kickback, but you should be able to pay a referral fee or a lead,
No, I can't
you
pay
know.
a referral fee because a referral fee. So like because this is the danger you run into. So my license, I'm about 1 of 10 people in Northern Nevada that has my license, and it's a non-consent tow license. So that means my company can take your car without your
Right.
consent.
Right.
Mhm.
So you don't get to consent, but here's
If
the
I'm parked
problem.
illegally.
Here's the person over here, like the Nevada Highway Patrol, that calls me up, and now this other people are benefiting from me towing their car. Now, if you were running an apartment complex and I charged the customer whatever I charged him and I paid you $25 for telling or
For saying, hey, come get this
come
car out
get
of our
this
lot.
car
Yeah.
out of our lot,
out of
then
our
you have a
property.
financial benefit to take people's cars away from them.
Mhm.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So Nevada
Yeah,
Highway Patrol
I
has
can
a
see that.
financial benefit to
Yeah.
taking people's cars away from them now.
Right.
If there was a way
Right.
for
Do you
a
see the problem
system or
with
rule, yeah, to be abused, it's going to happen.
Right.
So here's a law that says I can't give anybody any money to notify me of a tow, but the Nevada Highway Patrol has this outside company that's owned by billionaires
Mhm.
that notifies me of tows that requires me to pay them money.
Right. Yeah, they're getting some money.
You think there might be any kickbacks there to somebody
They're
or
getting some
anybody?
money. Oh yeah.
Why would the government see why for years and years and years before this happened, the Nevada Highway Patrol hires dispatchers, the sheriff hires dispatchers, Reno PD, Vegas Metro, everybody's got dispatchers, right? And when the cops need a tow truck, they call their dispatcher, and their dispatcher calls us, and your tax dollars pay for this, right?
Yeah, right. Indirectly, yeah.
So why do you need to pay an outside multi-billion-dollar company $25 to notify me of a tow? To impound your car and take your car away from you without your consent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Why does it cost $25 to dispatch a tow truck?
Right.
Skimming.
I just know that I got to pay the $25.
Right.
And if I don't collect it from you, it comes out of my pocket.
Mhm.
So I'm collecting it
So
from
that's
you.
why towing is
Yeah.
$300 and some now.
Well, plus to insure a little tiny tow truck's $2,500 a month. Just insurance.
So it's just a complete racket, basically.
Insurance companies are getting lots of money.
Right.
Insurance companies.
Yeah.
One of the biggest scams ever.
So what kind of well, I mean, with you wanting to sell the company, what kind of, again, buyer, say, would be the most qualified entrepreneur to possibly be interested in something like your business? Somebody
s-
that's already owning a tow company, say, for example, but let's say somebody that doesn't. Like, again, what would be the carrot that you would use to say, hey, I'm selling a business. You may want to look at this because of X, Y, and Z.
well, people that are already existing in the business are always good candidates. There's
Mhm.
they run the businesses, they know how the businesses are, and they want to expand their footprint.
Mhm.
They want to grow bigger. They want to do more calls per day, more cash flow.
Right.
The more calls you do per day is more cash flow, and as we've heard, cash flow is king.
Yeah.
So you've got the people that are already running existing companies, people that are running other transportation companies that want to have different sources of revenue, people that run repair shops, body shops, anybody in the automotive industry that wants to expand other sources of revenue. It's kind of, you go back to that gas station thing where the tow trucks were at the gas stations, but they don't fix cars anymore, so there's no real reason to have tow trucks if
Right.
you're not fixing cars. But that type of industry, or just somebody that wants to learn a new business and thinks that playing with tow trucks is fun.
Okay.
Because I don't know, if you're somebody that likes to play with hydraulics and move things and do that type of stuff, it's
Right.
a fun occupation that way.
So if
That's-
there was somebody out there listening that may be interested, you never know. Would they call your business broker? How would they best get in touch with a person?
Just call me.
Just, yeah. How do they do that?
Just reach out to Drew Ribar at Gmail.
At gmail.com.
Yeah, so Drew, D-R-E-W, Ribar, R-I-B-A-R, at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. All right, you guys. Hey, we are at the top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. This is G-Man with Kel on What's the Matter podcast show. And we have Drew Ribar in the studio. We are talking a little bit of business. I think we're going to move on to some, I think you guys are going to find out these are very entertaining stories. And you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. Hey, what's up? This is G-Man with Kel Rush in the studio.
Hey, yo.
What's the Matter podcast? We are going to be in the second hour. And let's see, what are we going to talk about this time, Kel, in the second hour? I think we have a little bit of a plan to talk about some things called auditing. Have you ever been audited before?
I have not. I used to be an auditor. I did Sarbanes-Oxley audits when that bullshit
What is that?
It's a dumb technical thing that IT departments do for companies to they audit their security and like passwords and emails and access and app stuff. And it was a big, they were two congressmen, Sarbanes and Oxley were their last names. And they came up with this big hoo-ha kind of, I don't even know what to call it, but like this concept of that companies needed to have their security, their digital security audited.
Was it fun?
No, it sucked.
Right? Audits aren't fun. Nobody likes an audit.
I was having to go through like books, 3-ring binders. This was 2004. Having to like go through binders and documents and databases, and it was just mundane, boring crap. Most of which at least the companies I was working for were already in pretty good shape. So it wasn't even, we weren't even catching anything. Like we weren't even finding anything like, ooh, none of that. It was just boring.
It sounds like it'd be a boring thing. So let me set this up. So those that don't know, I was raised in a small Central Valley town, and I was raised with law enforcement parents. And by the time I was, I think, 12 years old, riding around in cop cars and doing ride-along programs and things like that. And my mother became the second female police officer in our city's history. This happened when I was about a sophomore in high school. I go to school one day, and there's a rumor going around school that I'm the school narc.
Oh, interesting.
Right? And so I didn't even know what a narc was. And so, of course, then I have to do everything within my power and ability to prove that I'm a cool kid. I'm not a narc, I'll drink and do whatever you guys do and stuff like that, So I was totally on the sly. I was always doing things that if my parents found out, I would get my ass beat. So that was my upbringing as far as like law enforcement goes. And so, I was kind of in a way a little rebel, but at the same time, I was able to see things that law enforcement they go through. That it's not a, let's put it this way, it's a job that not everybody can do, and it's a job that not everybody's good at, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So a little bit of GCBC news, a little good cop, bad cop that we're going to be, I guess, delving into. But I guess here's my journey past that. So think 2007, YouTube and everything starting to go on. And I saw this video of a guy that rolls up to a sobriety checkpoint. Right now, we all knew about sobriety checkpoints at that point. And from what I knew about our rights, that we're supposed to have the freedom to travel uninhibited. If we do something wrong, if we break the law, they can pull us over. But outside of that, if we don't do something wrong, they can't just randomly pull us over for anything, including a sobriety checkpoint. Now, there's again rules that if there was some escapee from the prison or something like that, and they're doing a manhunt, now they can check vehicles and do the trunk, and stuff like that. That's understandable. But to randomly have me pull over, stop me from traveling because you want to enhance your coffers, so to speak, or potentially put somebody in a cage, because there's no damage been done. He hasn't broken a law. You're not pulling him over because he's going over and weaving back and forth or anything like that, right? I just initially said, that's not right. And so then this guy, old school auditor, basically when he says, how you doing tonight, sir? He's like, I don't answer questions. And then he had in a plastic, I guess, enclosure, his driver's license, proof of insurance and stuff like that, just cracked his windshield a little bit, hangs it outside the window. Ultimately, the guy brings over supervisor. Supervisor says, how you doing tonight, sir? He says, again, I don't answer questions. And the supervisor says, have a good night, sir. You're free to go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like crazy. I was thinking I would never do that, but I loved that man. And I never knew who he was. I don't know who he is today, but that was my first taste of somebody kind of doing a little bit of pushback like that, from not giving up their Fourth Amendment right, for the privacy of their papers. And so flash forward again now, we're talking maybe I think 2012. There's a few cats that are in different parts of the country. It happened here in Reno, where there was what's called a Second Amendment audit. So our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Now, again, I would never do this, but just again, the person that flexed his rights by, in an open carry state, walking down 2nd Street with an AR-15. His sister was filming behind him, I think, if I remember correctly. But I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, there's going to be a reaction. There's going to be something happening for sure. RPD came out, sheriff's office came out, they had him on the ground. I don't think they arrested him because he wasn't doing anything illegal, but he got the attention that he was after. And then subsequently, maybe 2-3 years, I see things like Amagansett Press, Here's the Deal, of course, Long Island Islet, Sean and stuff. And they started doing things called First Amendment auditing. So that was my journey until I got to First Amendment auditing. And I actually want to give you the stage, Drew, because you are a legit First Amendment auditor. So the first question is, tell everybody, what is First Amendment auditing?
Essentially, you're going around to government employees and ensuring that they don't violate your First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, your right to interact with your government, right to redress, and that they respect your constitutional rights and that they do their job that we, the people, pay them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, when I've done this, most of the time, we've got a lot of very corrupt government that doesn't know what our Constitution says. Just like the DMV, the chief of the DMV and the director of the DMV, these people do not honor the Constitution. They do not honor the rule of law, and they are above these things. And
Now, I found that a lot of times, if not most of the time, when somebody has become a First Amendment auditor, there's something that they experienced, something happened to them with an interaction with a law enforcement officer or a government employee that kind of triggers them into getting into it. So did that happen to you? And if so, what was it?
with my business,
Mhm.
the DMV and the Nevada Transportation Authority, there's an email out there that, like I said, that said that they wanted to go and cite me for everything they could. And so this transportation authority cop, his name is David Gravel, he came into my office and he seized my papers. Now, the law says in my business that they can come in during normal business hours and examine my papers. That means they can open my books, inspect my papers, and ensure my papers are on my premises are correct.
Was that the gentleman, if I recall in the video, is the bearded gentleman?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Papa
Okay.
Smurf.
Yes.
At Papa Smurf. So Papa Smurf came into my business. He seized my papers. He takes my papers back to his office. And then he calls me up and says, I need to talk to you. And so this was the very first video that I published. Started me going. And so I took one of my employees in there and had him record the interaction. And Papa Smurf got upset when I asked him what law he was enforcing, why he seized my papers, and he ended up threatening to come and take even more of my papers.
Mm-hmm.
threw a piece of paper across the room, and he
That's
was
right.
just kind of antagonistic and tried to basically be a bully. And I was done being bullied. So that's why I brought my employee that I had record the interaction. And after that, I decided to go. Well, let's go out and take a camera and see if this is really happening out there in more places. And I went out and I went to uh, Department of Welfare office. Went in there and recorded, and all of a sudden, I'm surrounded by 5 cops.
Now, did you? I want you to keep going, but did you also see some First Amendment audits before, or did you just do this on your own volition and you were doing First Amendment auditing without knowing what you were doing?
No, I'd watched some First Amendment. So the Dave Gravel thing happened. That's
Okay.
Papa Smurf at the Transportation Authority, and that happened, and so I started watching these First Amendment audits, and I'm going, okay, this is kind of what's going on with me in my world, and here's
Mhm.
corrupt government, and here's again Long Island audit, and um, Bay Area transparency, and
Yeah.
you know, watched a lot of this stuff, and I'm going, so here's the process of how you do it. I'm a business guy. I like processes.
Right.
Here's the process of how you do this. So I'll go try this process and see what happens. Here are my rights. Here's the case law. I'm pretty safe. And if you can't simply take a camera out in a public place or public building where the public is allowed to go without government calling law
Getting their
enforcement on
egos
you,
in a bunch.
yeah, there's a problem in our society.
Right.
And the more you dig into it, the more you find out that there's a lot of corruption.
Oh yeah. So government accountability. There's also citizenry accountability, especially I think if you're going to do an audit. Now, as you know, we went out and did one time at the federal courthouse, and prior to that, I had done a couple in Colorado, and I have to say that it is kind of unnerving knowing that depending on what the scope of your approach is that particular day, where you're going, the difference between, say, a library or a prison, right? The difference between, say, being out on a public sidewalk in front of a business and then being on a sidewalk
Going to a
right
courthouse.
outside of a police yard where their cars are coming in and out. So you're gonna get more attention in some areas and some approaches with auditing than others, and you've done it all. But the day that, for example, in the federal building, our approach was to kind of go in there and do them a favor, see how they responded, and if they were going to give us any pushback. And we just wanted to educate them, say, hey, there's going to be some audits that happen here. This movement, this trend is not going to go anywhere. And yet, I think I still recall, I think the guy's name was Mike. He was nice about it, not too crazy. But when we started educating him, just like, okay, so we could have just as easily, okay, put our cameras on, had it go through the X-ray machine, and then went ahead and went through the metal detector and started filming on that side. But we didn't do that because we wanted to see, how you guys were going to handle this. And ultimately, remember, he called some guys down from the upstairs. Eventually, about 6 guys, with weapons, federal agents, and stuff like that, just to kind of see it. And they're looking at their own rules, and they don't find anything. Even though they thought that we didn't have the right to film, they couldn't find anything to prohibit us from doing it.
It's the
Right?
crux of the First Amendment itself.
Yeah. Well, there are nuances, as we said. There's
Well, of
time and
course.
place restrictions. But that being said, you've had some pretty hairy experiences. In that contrast between something that's more mundane, say with the library, even though you've had some adventures in that arena too. But tell everybody, if you are at liberty to share your experience at the sheriff's. Well, actually, you were at the prison, right? And the sheriff was called by the warden. Are you at liberty to talk about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
Okay.
was on a public roadway going to the visitor center when the Carson City Sheriffs arrested me for having a camera on a public road and walking into a public parking lot, into the public visitor center for the prison. And at the same time, there's also, if anybody didn't know, there's an automotive repair shop that's open to the public that the prison runs. So you can take
Really?
your car there and get your car fixed. At least that's what
Is that on the county property?
on state property.
State property?
Yeah. So there's this whole public area, and they arrested me for being out there and filming. And then Deputy Jason Bueno of the Carson City Sheriff's Office, the 95-degree day, put me in the back seat of his patrol car, all cuffed up, no seatbelt on, and let me sit in the back of the patrol car. And he rolled the windows up, and there's no air conditioning back there in that car. And it was a 95-degree day. And if you want to know what it feels like to be a dog locked in a car, I can tell you what it feels like. But by the time I got to the sheriff's office and they booked me, he even mentioned how overheated and sweaty I was.
You were soaking wet.
Yeah, I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
But
Jesus Christ.
yeah, that's what the Carson City Sheriff did. Is
The hell were
they
they thinking?
hotbox. Well, they I think they do it on purpose.
Of course they do.
Well, yeah, that's again a style of abuse and
Mind control.
again, there's again good cops and bad cops, and what's that old saying? That a good cop's worst enemy.
Well, are there any good cops?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there are.
Absolutely.
Well, let me rephrase the question now. Can there be good cops when they allow the bad cops to exist?
That's the crux.
That's
So
it.
are there any good cops?
That's a good point.
I mean, I see your argument there.
I do too. But because of potential violent retaliation, because just strictly because of the personalities you're even talking about, the fear of reprisal
Mhm.
is significant.
Not trying to condone it.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying why giving reasons.
And I know that I know that there's been people that I have met and known that have gotten out of the vocation because of what you're speaking about.
Well, the problem is, who do you tell? You go to supervision, they're involved in it. That you go to up above their heads, they're involved. I mean,
Yeah. IA, now you're a rat.
right.
Well, even if you go to
And even they can be
IA,
corrupted.
no, they are corrupt. And
Yeah.
I've filed a complaint.
They've got favorites.
I filed a complaint with Carson City's investigations for their own, cops investigating themselves, and they found themselves innocent.
Of course.
And of course, he didn't do anything wrong. Filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office, Aaron Ford's office, and that guy's just a loser.
He's a waste of
And
time.
the Attorney General's office lost the complaint.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Filed a complaint with the FBI. They don't do nothing. So there is no real accountability in the system. The people that run the system protect themselves, and it's kind of like ex-county manager Brown. His wife got a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
Got a video of that, and
it was pretty severe, wasn't it? Like she was blown.
Yeah, she was
like way out.
She was
Yeah,
wasted.
That's
dangerous.
right.
She wasn't just a cup of
That
tea.
happened in
this
Sparks.
was bad.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't get prosecuted, of
Nope.
course, because she's a county manager's wife. Why would she get prosecuted? On the other hand, there was another guy that got arrested that night.
The Hispanic guy.
Yeah.
And 20 years or some ridiculous thing.
Prosecute him as hard as you can.
But nobody's supposed to be above the law, though, Drew.
We're supposed to have equal justice, but
Yeah.
Are there any good cops?
That is an excellent question. With the premise,
It's a conundrum.
That you posed there. I would still say, man, I would still say that there are good police officers that
do their job
that are in a tough position with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they have to almost, there's different ways, I guess, of selling your soul to the devil. Let's, I guess, because I guess I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right.
I guess my bottom line is again, so did you abolish the police? I thought that was dumb.
That's stupid.
It's stupid.
Stupid. We need
defund the police. Really?
Come
on now.
Good, strong law enforcement that's not corrupt.
Right.
Well,
that holds themselves equally accountable to the law, like they hold the people accountable to the law.
Now
That's the problem. There's no accountability.
Yeah.
And there's no consequences for these people.
And that
because
is
they're
where,
above the law.
And that is where, with First Amendment auditing, that I'm an advocate for that. Here's a good cop. Okay. A good cop would be somebody that's a First Amendment audit advocate. Let's start there, right? Because somebody that wants to be transparent, that wants to promote transparency, that's a good start, right? And so, for example, give a shout out to Matt Thornton. Okay, somebody that, again, I've known for a few years now, haven't met him in person, but online. And he's got on a YouTube channel, a lot of subscribers, has hundreds of thousands of views for his videos, and he's the real deal. Again, real quick, his story. So he came from the streets. Chicago was hiring, and he got hired because they wanted people with street experience. And so he wrote a book about this. And so one morning, I think it was about 4:00 in the morning, Walmart parking lot, in his cruiser while he was on duty, he was going to take his life. And there was this lady, I told you this story, lady came by, talked to him for a little bit. He turns his head, she's gone. So whether it's an angel, an apparition, figment of his imagination or whatever, he took that as a sign. Turned his life around, started working with troubled youth. And he is an advocate for First Amendment auditors. He calls cops out all the time. Do you know who I'm talking about? Matt, M-A-T-T, Thornton, T-H-O-R-N-T-O-N. There's this one video that went viral of this police officer, and it's him. He's stopped by playing a basketball game.
Is he still in Chicago?
He's in Zion.
Zion,
yeah, just
Illinois.
right outside of Chicago. Now he's working as, I think, in the school district, and so he's off the streets now, working with, youth, doing some good stuff. But this video of him, he was on cruising the streets, stop, park. Kids are playing basketball in his police uniform, full uniform. He starts playing basketball. So he's trying backing this kid down, turns around, boom, makes the shot. The whole program or the whole playground goes crazy.
I bet.
Just because, he's a little short dude.
That's
in full uniform and stuff. And so good guy, but he's somebody that I think we could get behind. There's a gentleman, James, also. We maybe do this again with him, a retired federal police officer from San Francisco. Same type of thing. He said that the vocation nowadays, as far as the training that they get with citizens' rights, he says that it's disgusting. Now, having talked to...
Is it like sexual harassment training in corporate America?
Yeah. But going and talking with our local academy and saying, hey, these audits are going to happen. And I'm telling you, you probably did your prison experience maybe 6 months after I'm talking with the chief deputy up there. And he's just like, yeah, there's things that we have to cover in the academy. There's things we'd love to cover in the academy, but we don't have the resources or the time to do it. And this falls under that category. And I go, we can do some free training. Just, like set it up. We'll come in. And he's just like, no, we got this handled. And then that happened with you. And now one of the sheriffs, just like I told him, you're going to be audited around here more than once. The guys from the Bay Area, guys from the Central Valley, guys from different parts of the country. Ammon Ganson's been there. He did the thing at the on Wells Avenue. Yeah. And so anyway, they failed, obviously, with your arrest, that's obvious. But recording public officials in their spaces to ensure transparency. Comment on that. How important is transparency? How difficult is it to get? And do we have any hope of getting it?
There is no transparency. I've got a public records request. Now the law says you're supposed to respond in 5 days, but I've got a public records request out to the Secretary of State. And what that was is over a year ago, the Secretary of State, they were doing some things with their computer systems that calculate that had a record of how you voted over the years. And that system was corrupted and they changed people's records.
That's right.
Mine
happened to my daughter also.
Mine showed up that I voted in the primary. Right. I wasn't even in the state.
Yeah.
And I didn't vote in the primary either.
And I didn't vote I didn't vote in the main election to see if it showed up that I did. It
Mhm.
didn't, but
Yeah.
that was my
And
test.
and I checked mine, and so I did a public records request right after that happened, asking for the computer records of how this happened, what changed, who did the changes, who was involved, what happened.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for that records request.
Hmm.
They keep responding back
Talk to
me.
Robert Beatles.
Oh, I've talked to him a few times, but the whole system is corrupt, and they don't like it when you walk in with a camera. They don't want to be on camera. There's a few that have gotten used to it now that I can think of, but I'm going to go try to do something tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
My guess is they probably won't like it though. Nobody likes to be audited. I get it.
Do they recognize you now?
Some people do.
Yeah, some people do. So, would you say that this is a civil liberty in action? What is going on? Hold on. What was that?
Oh my goodness.
What was that?
A glitch in the matrix, dude. That was crazy.
your
Did
phone?
I accident?
think your
No,
phone was
not on the
going out.
phone. Wow, that guy was skipping out. Was that some jazz?
No, it was I Feel Good. It was James Brown.
James Brown. Oh, I do have that ringtone.
I was going to say, it looked like somebody was trying to call you.
Oh, well, this is on silent. That's crazy.
Bluetooth.
Sorry.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It connected.
Oh, all right.
Auto connected.
Yeah, let's do that then. Let's get out of here on the Bluetooth.
That's funny.
Sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay. That was interesting.
Oh, man, we got some electronic stimulation going on here.
That's some
So,
gremlins.
so back to so is this activity that let's look at pros and cons, right, of the auditing. So is this a civil liberty in action, or is it an unnecessary provocation? I guess it depends on who you're asking that question to.
Perspective is everything.
Yeah, right.
To me, I feel like my rights have been violated, and I'm testing the Constitution. Does it exist in this country? I
Right.
want to know.
Right.
I mean, we all
Is it
grew-
just fodder?
yeah.
Or is it
just
something legit?
Is the Constitution propaganda or is it real?
And see, and I guess I don't mean
I
to
can
be
tell you it was real
cynical
when it was
because
written.
I want to believe in it, right? I mean, what a great concept of
They
having a
gave us a
republic.
blueprint.
Yeah, of people that that vote to go represent our best interests. And so, of course, what's happened is that they vote their best interests, and they, the only time they care about us is when they want our
They vote
votes
the
and things like
lobbyists'
that.
best interests.
Well, oh yeah, how about that? Because everybody says, well, I don't want for our politicians to be bribed. That just wouldn't be right. And then they said, well, we can't call it bribing. Let's call it lobbying.
Exactly.
So they come up with some other euphemism, just like, oh, well, that's okay
That's better.
then.
That's a
because
career. That's an industry.
yeah. So
Now, I've been a lobbyist, so be careful there.
well, what? So yeah.
Well,
like,
and now this is
recently?
the thing. Now
recently?
you can be a lobbyist for a cause, like a
Yeah.
lobbyist for a charity or whatever. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, no, I've been a lobbyist for industry.
Really?
I started. I went around all the tow operators, and I was the first president of the tow operators.
Kind of like
How
your
long
union
ago
rep,
was this?
kind of
2016, 2017?
recently.
Not too,
Relatively.
Yeah.
Relatively.
not too far. But I started that association, and I lobbied for the industry. And all that lobbyists really are is they're cause driven
Or the money.
or they're industry driven.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Money driven.
Yep.
And I'm just looking at, I know the towing business. I know what the laws are that work, the laws that don't work, and the things that mess things up. And we went and worked with Senator Mo Dennis, and he was awesome to work with. And the previous session before I started this association, he'd gone and made some bad laws. And his constituents got back to him and said, hey, these don't work. And the towing industry got back to him and said, these don't work. There's problems. Nobody wants their car impounded, but on the other hand, you can't go park in somebody else's parking spot because people are very territorial and they pay for their dirt where they park their car.
Right.
And if you live in an apartment complex with not very much parking, when you come home at 2 a.m., you want your parking spot.
That's yours.
That's your
That's
parking
right.
spot. And so there's a need for what I do because it stops people from violence upon each other.
Yeah.
We protect property.
Right.
So I mean, it's a complicated thing. I'm taking somebody's property that doesn't belong to me, but at the same time, I'm protecting somebody's property that belongs to this other person. That
Yeah.
this other person is
that
usurped.
is convoluted.
So it's very, especially for me. I
Ooh,
believe in the
yeah.
Constitution, due process, and all that good
And
stuff.
I don't think people would have an issue with that type of lobbying. That's not where
No,
the
and that's
issue
not what I'm
is.
talking about either. That's
know.
No,
grassroots to me.
but what I'm saying is,
I'm talking
I've
about
seen within
industrialized.
the system, and I don't see within the system and other current laws how kickbacks happen from lobbyists to the elected the elected.
I'll tell you.
Where I
Yeah.
see the kickbacks happening are things like with this auto return deal or money coming in from other places that's then dispersed out to private entities, non-governmental organizations then I believe are kicked back to the politicians. And that's how the money is flowing back to the politicians is through some kickbacks
It-
where you're never seeing it.
Right.
That's more local. On the federal level, what they do is this is industrialized, and the lobbyists go in with the laws they want written and a check and take it to their congressperson and say, "What do you think of this?" And they'll act like they'll pick up the piece of paper and go, "It's a little complicated. Try again."
Yeah. It's
And come
even
back with a bigger check.
Yeah,
That's how that works.
That's the whole thing.
That's
is
it.
that when there's a lobbyist, say, that works and he's
Special
graduated
interests.
from law school, right? He's a licensed attorney. He goes to work for a corporation that have the deep pockets. They pay this guy an insane salary. And what this guy does is he actually crafts the law, not our lawmakers.
Right.
That's not the way that it's supposed to
Right.
be. Our lawmakers are, the House of Representatives, the senators. Those are the
You're
guys
supposed
that
to
should
come
be
to it with
drafting
an
the
issue
stuff.
that you need a law
Yes.
for, or you would like a law for,
Yeah.
and then they discuss it and
Yeah.
see it's on its
So
merits.
they hand
and
it
then
off and
write
say,
it.
hey, this is what we need for you, to push through. And of course, different lobbyists with different influences will be treated differently,
Mhm.
with the different lawmakers, the people that can hook them up and grease them a little bit more, they're going to get the preferential treatment.
Well-
So we all know that this like this. And so anyway, I think that's where I think sometimes you get this political violence is because some people that aren't really mentally there, they just get fed up with it. And they get to the point where they don't care anymore because their life's, it's kind
being
of rock
negatively
bottom
affected.
and they need somebody to blame. And so they blame that person, but
Yeah.
they're still not, they're helping. And I guess here's a key question right here. Is everything that we're talking about and everything that we're complaining about in our little protest that we're having in this box, is it fixable? Is it even possible to fix this stuff?
No, the whole thing has got to collapse. And we are in that process. It's happening very slowly.
Mhm.
It's been happening for decades, but we are in the gets worse before it gets better phase, and it hasn't gotten to the worst yet. The whole system has got to collapse and crater and be rebuilt.
And what does that look like, though?
I think it's going to be community driven.
Mhm.
We aren't going to have one big central hierarchical patriarchal, one guy at the top and then two guys and four guys and six guys and whatever. I think it's going to split into regions. I think the country will end up splitting into regions where like-minded people will gravitate and then have governance within the communities.
That's an interesting concept. Where does that come from? Is this your own vision?
Kind of things I've seen and just,
Mhm.
had discussions with other groups about that just sort of, none of this is, I'm not saying this is going to happen or is even preferable to happen. This is just sort of how it's been seen
Mhm.
that they think it would go.
So
when
this sounds like
happens.
a utopian type of thing. So do we have to
Sorta.
go through the dystopia before we reach the utopia?
Technically, no.
Mhm.
But because of, how everybody's in different places and has different mindsets and perspectives. And
Yeah, I always say,
you
who
know.
knows, man? One thing for sure, we are not going to get out of this thing alive.
That's for sure. That's for damn sure.
Oh man.
This meat suit will die.
So break down like your one audit that went the most. Is this the one that went the most sideways when you were in the cruiser sweating your butt off? Was that the worst one, or
Well, getting arrested is never a good thing.
How many times did that happen
For
now?
sure.
I've only been arrested once.
Just that once. Okay, so
Lucky
that was
you.
probably it though. And just to let the audience know, so the sheriff was dispatched because of the warden.
Right.
The
The-
warden's the one that really was pushing the
the
issues.
warden said that he lied and said I'd been trespassed. I'd never
Mhm.
been trespassed.
Mhm.
And yeah, the warden is the one that was the domino that made it all happen.
Now you're suing the county over
I'm
this.
suing. Well, I just got May 1st. They accepted my amended complaint. So I originally sued in state court. Carson City moved us to federal court, but they never notified the state. And then it's taken a while to wind up now. But the federal court, I tried to move it back to the state court.
Why did you do that?
I'm testing the system. I wanted to
Okay.
see how the state system worked, but they moved me to the federal court. The federal court refused to move me back, and then they ordered me to write an amended complaint. And because my first complaint was created for state court, now my second amended complaint is created for federal court, and I'm in the process of serving the state defendants again because the city defendants are already served for that. So I'm just serving the warden, getting him served, and getting I forget the sergeant's name, but getting him served and getting the other people involved all served and moving the state into federal court too. So I've got all the parties involved back in the same lawsuit.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching your journey in that regard because, of course, you got the shocking part when you get arrested and that aspect of it. But subsequently, share with our audience your experience, if you can, in court with Officer Bueno,
Oh, well, Bueno sued me. He was trying to get
which was comical to me.
a restraining order against me.
Yeah, he's saying this guy's trying to make money off of me
What?
because you had a YouTube channel and you're posting videos.
CNN makes money. Fox makes
Yeah.
money.
Please.
ABC makes money. Everybody
Please.
makes money. So I don't
Yeah.
know why.
And that's illegal?
That's
why-
what was laughable about his
Why is
assertion.
it bad if the average human being gets ad revenue too?
Right.
So I get some ad revenue from YouTube publishing stuff, and
Yeah.
now I'm on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff too. But why is it bad if regular people can capture some ad revenue?
That was just the only stupid thing he could pull out of his ass to throw at you.
Yeah,
Well, there
that
was
never
no
made
other
sense
defense.
to me. But yeah, he was upset
This
because
is what ego bullies do.
people were upset because he did what he did. So they contacted the sheriff's office, and he said that people contacted him and threatened him and all this stuff. I never saw the threatening emails,
Mm-hmm.
but he said this all happened.
Well, and I've never met this guy, but the impression from the first video is he did, again, all gets down to training, but you would think that is he a sergeant? Was he
No,
a sergeant? He's
no,
corporal
he's
or
been there he's been there a long time.
long time. So he should know better, I guess is what I'm
And
saying.
you'd think by that many years you'd have some more stripes.
But you know what well, that's a good point. But really what it comes down to is again the blue code. Because they support each other, and even if they're wrong, you know what I mean? You got to show
Yes.
solidarity, and I think that's what his mistake was that day. And man, because before they put you in cuffs, or even they can detain you, but before they arrested you, in hindsight, especially, what they should have done is they should have got on the phone with an attorney, right? And said, hey, before we arrest this guy, we just want to make sure that we're not going to get sued. The county's not getting
Or even
sued,
run it through
city and stuff like
ChatGPT,
that.
for God's sake.
But by the time that happened, and even after the mistake was made, there's no contrition on his part. He's not taking any, hasn't accepted. It could have went totally different. What if he would have said, Mr. Ribar, I know that this doesn't go a long way. I was just doing my job, but I did my job wrong, and I'm sorry that you see what I'm saying? What would you have done? Would you have accepted his apology?
Yeah,
And there wouldn't have been.
I wouldn't have
That's
sued
what
him.
I'm saying.
I wouldn't have sued him.
So this is just idiotic, for
So
this
stupid.
ego
Ego.
driven, type of stuff. And again, this isn't rocket science. And this is where we've spoken about training, putting together training videos based on different scenarios. I guess the most simple one is, let's say, Sally, the dispatcher gets a call, and they say that there's a guy in a camera in front of their business, and they think that that he's out there scoping the place, maybe, kind of putting things together, to maybe hit the place when the business is closed or something like that. So police
Who
officer
does that
goes
in broad daylight?
Oh, you'd be surprised. Yeah, well, this is, again, it's a movement. I mean, There's a lot of auditors now. I mean,
Well, no, that's
even
what. But I'm saying, who cases a joint in broad daylight with a camera?
that's the point.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
I
And
mean,
that's what, again, Sean is just like, that's a common
that's
sense
just a
thing.
dumb
Just like
excuse on the
some of the auditors will say,
merchant's
well,
part.
if I was like casing this place, why would I do it in broad daylight? You know, I'm going to be doing this a little bit, you know, clandestine. You know,
Duh. I mean,
and so, but if there's a call that comes out, officer has to go. And if there's a guy standing on the sidewalk, say, you know, make contact and say, hey, what's going on? Just like now, if that guy says, oh, nothing, I'm just out here taking pictures of anything that my eyes can see, there's your sign.
Mhm.
There's
Specific
specific
language.
language, you know, sometimes, oh, I'm just out here flexing my constitutional rights. Okay, dude, go talk to the owner, say, this gentleman's not doing anything illegal. He doesn't have any weapons. He doesn't appear to be a threat. I understand your concern. So he's probably looking for a little bit of attention or reaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off. I'm going to go down the street. We'll, you know, continue to, you know, roll around, stuff like that. But the best thing that you can do to, if you want him to go away, is just continue your business.
Just ignore him.
Just go about your business.
Yeah.
So just little training things like that. There's also property trespassing issues that some auditors may think they know about, but there are some nuances and subtleties. So since you were affected with technically trespassing, can you explain a little bit of what you've learned that you need to be prudent with if you're going to be doing some auditing?
To be trespassed, there has to be notice. You have to be told you're being trespassed. In my circumstance, they said, you need to leave, you need to go film somewhere else. That's not a trespass. Telling me that I need to go film somewhere else is an unlawful order.
Mm-hmm.
Trespassing me, though, is a different thing. You are trespassed. It's a very specific word, very specific language, and you have to be given notice to be trespassed.
Right.
If you don't get that notice, you're not.
Including private property, right? You can be on someone's private property.
Especially private
But
property.
if they don't tell you that you have to leave, then a police officer can't tell you to leave. Is that right?
Right. Well, if they don't tell you, if I go on going on private property is much different than staying on public property.
For sure.
If you're told, hey, get off my property, you're filming, you get off their property.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
It's their property. However they tell you to get off their property don't matter.
And it doesn't have to be the property owner. It could be one of the representatives that can tell you to get.
One of the roommates can tell you to get off of there. Public property is much different. The notice has to be specific. Signs have to be a certain size.
They can't criminalize you doing a constitutionally protected activity either.
But if they trespass you and you say under threat of arrest, if I don't leave, you're going to arrest me.
Right.
Yep. Then you get the heck out.
They violated your rights there, right?
Because they've violated your rights. You don't need to take an arrest. You just need to get out because you've already got standing in court if you do want to sue them because they've said these words.
As long as you've got video proof, right? Or they have their body cam on.
Yeah, and
you have to record
you've got a record.
Can you subpoena the body cam?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, FOIA request.
You can subpoena it. You may or may not get it.
That's right. It could take a long time. And you'll have to pay money.
You got to have your own video.
That's why I always record the police, people.
Yeah, don't trust the government to give you their records because although the law says they're required to give you the records, they don't follow the law.
Of course not.
They hide all this stuff from us. Government is very opaque.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I've been dealing with this for 30 years.
But yeah, so if you're told to trespass under threat of arrest, leave. Other than that, well, you're doing it all at your own risk anyway.
Would you encourage more people to do auditing?
I don't think I'd encourage anybody to put themselves in jeopardy.
Right. You have to have a certain personality and constitution, personal constitution.
Disposition.
Yeah.
For me,
you have to be very secure within yourself.
And when I'm out there, I'm all knotted up. I'm tense. I'm stressed out. It's not a pleasant feeling to go and be confrontational or be subject to a confrontation just for existing with a camera. And you know that when you go out there with a camera, there's probably going to be some type of confrontation. And just dealing with anything like that is not fun for most people.
Yep.
Have you worked with your body and the somatics of that, like the training that cops go through to work through that so that you're not knotted up when you're in these situations? That's a central nervous system response.
I think for me, when you're doing new things, you're always stressed out. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. I'm much more comfortable with it now than I was when I first started it.
Sure.
I wasn't comfortable when I had my employee recording David Gravel. I was sitting there worrying what's going to happen if these cops figure out what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And then I put it online, and there were emails from the cops because I got public records about it, and they weren't happy about it. And then obviously I went out and did my other things and got arrested and get banned from the library for a year because I'm recording the librarians. Um,
That's just not right. I mean, that's not even legal. How can they ban you from the library?
Well,
they
they
did.
don't know. Yeah. And so I guess there's
That's why they got sued.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the line that you would say between accountability and harassment? Like you're holding a government official accountable, and there's different in the training modules I was going to put together for auditing their styles, for policing their styles.
Mhm.
So in an auditing style, you've got your old school gangster auditors that just are disrespectful. They'll call them names.
Right.
They don't give they again, and in a crazy way, those get a lot of views because people get enjoyment out of the tables being
Of
flipped.
course.
And yes, the law enforcement, the guy in the uniform is the one that people are giving shit to. Now, there's also kind of like the one, maybe Amagansson. He's one where very polite, but if you say or do the wrong thing, he'll be triggered, and he'll get a little bit hardcore, a little bit more hardcore. And then you have the ones that I would probably categorize myself as, to where I'm not going to do any of the name calling, degrading, or anything like that. I'm more quizzical, just like, oh, we're not supposed to film in here. I thought that
Play
this was
dumb.
covered. Yeah. Yeah. Just coy. I'm the coy guy and stuff like that. So between those three styles in a general, type of sense, again, the question is, so where is that line between somebody that's auditing and wanting to hold them to be accountable, and then, or getting to the point to where they're harassing them? Where's that line? Is it just all personal?
That's a good question.
I think it's all personal. For me, I always try to be polite and just ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not get upset with them and just try to be as mellow as you can
Mm-hmm.
and let them
Let them
react
flame
the way
out.
that they're
Yeah.
going to react.
Yep.
Like I said, sometimes the people that go out and audit are just Chili DeCastro down in Las Vegas.
Oh,
He spent 6 months in
and
jail.
yes, because of that thing that happened in Vegas.
And basically, I
Yeah.
think that he got that because of his very aggressive demeanor.
Right.
That's
Well,
my
he certainly regretted it,
well,
at
right
one
now,
point.
right now he's suing a lot of people though too.
Yeah.
He lost 6 months of his life.
Yep.
But he's very antagonistic in his style.
Yep.
And
Yeah, he'll come
everybody's
out and he'll just like, hey, I'm alpha male, take that uniform off, type of thing. So he is, confrontational, very sarcastic. And
Yeah.
again, if you get entertained by police officers being dressed down and talked back to, there's auditors that do that and are very good at it. But I think, it's interesting between all the channels. So you have the auditors, and I'm sure that you've noticed that the channels that have even more subscribers are channels like Audit the Audit and Lackluster Channel. And what they do is they actually pretty much grade both the law enforcement or government official and the auditor. They give them grades, right? Speaking to pretty much what I just laid out. Because there's almost, I guess, subjectively, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Would you agree with that? You said it's personal, but if you can avoid being arrested, I mean, shouldn't you do that?
some auditors want to get arrested.
Right?
Sean Paul Reyes has set himself up to be arrested before.
Oh yeah, it's like what,
So-
about 4 times I think up to this point.
And when you go out, you have to be cognizant that you can be arrested even if
Mhm.
you're not, setting it up to be that
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
So some auditors go out with specifically I know they're going to violate my rights. I know this is going to happen because I've heard stories.
Mm-hmm.
And they go out there and then they specifically find these people and they're trying to get them to violate their rights with the purpose of bringing a lawsuit and trying to bring change because they know no other way is work to make change. So, how do you make change peacefully?
Right.
This is one of your options. So some specifically want to be arrested, some don't. I haven't tried to be arrested yet, although I have been.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried to be trespassed yet, although I have been. It just happens. That's where you get nervous and tense inside because now you've got the fear of the unknown. You're not in control of your destiny in those moments.
Yeah. Is it kind of like there's definitely a little adrenaline rush, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big adrenaline rush.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Anytime you got to deal with the cops, when do you not have an adrenaline rush unless it's your parents?
Yeah, or you're at an event somewhere.
And I tell you, I'm a weird one because again, I grew up around them, and I know like my wife just cracks up sometimes because I will totally, if there's like a group of them or one at a car wash or something like that, if the opportunity presents itself in a fun way, I will mess with them. I disclose pretty soon after I mess with them, just like, hey, I'm just messing with you. I was raised with law enforcement, cops, kids, stuff like that. And so, so that way they just don't go sideways on me. But yeah, there's a great video out. Guy has a fishing pole, and he has a bag of donuts on the end of the fishing pole. Cops across the street starts pulling across, goes through the stop sign, pulling across, and the guy throws the bag of donuts out there on a fishing reel, and the cop stops and gets on his loudspeaker and says, "Are those powdered? I'm allergic to chocolate." So everybody knows about the donuts and cops and stuff like that, but that's
so
the kind of police officer that I want in my community.
Here's the thing,
someone
though.
doesn't take himself too serious. But when it's time to get serious, his number.
He knows to let that instinct kick in. See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
They are creating RoboCops now. I mean, they are like programming these guys like military. They're fit. They don't do the donut shops anymore like they used to. Like that. The old.
I don't know, man. I see some.
Well,
I see a lot of police
you
officers
will, but
like
not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like you don't see cops with dad bod much anymore, with the big beer gut, and maybe still in rural. But
I started to say, yeah, it just all depends on what part of the country.
Yeah, and absolutely. Oh, absolutely. But I'm talking like here in Reno.
Yeah, and on the military side too, there's a little rub on that. So it makes sense, right? So let's say our military veterans, after they are discharged, it's from a security standpoint, that makes a lot of sense, for them to
that would make sense.
It does
if they would hire ex-military.
But so check this out. So what's happened, because you're no longer getting, again, recruits for police kind of organically through your citizenry, you are now getting your recruits from trained assassins, right? So to speak, people that know how to kill people,
assassins,
and that are trained to go on missions and accomplish the mission. And then when they come back and they're supposed to police the citizenry, they treat us like the enemy.
Yes, it's an enemy situation. It's an us and them situation.
And a lot of them
there's got to be deprogramming.
Don't like people to begin with.
Right.
And then when you have some sort of pushback or non-cooperation, that's when, again, they get triggered, the ego kicks in, and sometimes we as taxpayers have to pay for it. So again, I hope that the long game, we can eventually work out something, or the occupation itself works out something where they do get better training in regard to what we as citizens have as far as our rights. And I think it's pretty simple. Here's what we want. We want you guys to find bad people. We don't want you harassing some dude on the sidewalk with a camera.
Well, it all goes to qualified immunity, I think. That's the problem.
Oh, that's a good thing to bring up. Tell people what that is and how an officer would lose that by making a poor choice in the field during the course of the
you and I, when regular people break the law, and we walk into court and we say, well, we didn't know about that law. Well,
Ignorance of the law is
it's
no
no
excuse.
right.
there,
Yeah.
there you go. Now, on the other hand, if you're a government employee and you violate somebody's constitutional rights, the United States Supreme Court created qualified immunity. I think it was about 1969,
That far back, huh?
roughly. So that court created qualified immunity, and it said unless this is clearly established law that's well known, then the officer has qualified immunity, is not responsible for those actions.
Which basically is they're saying he can fuck up and not get in trouble for it.
Pretty
Exactly.
much.
And the Supreme Court created this. It wasn't created by the legislature. It wasn't signed off by the president. It's not a law. It's just case law that the Supreme Court created that gives government employees a free pass when they screw up and harm the public. And that's the problem. There is no accountability. If we got rid of this and you're accountable and you screw up and you break the law, shouldn't you go to jail? Shouldn't the cop go to jail? Shouldn't the cop pay a fine? I
Suspension,
yeah.
something.
I know if I go screw up and I, walk behind some guy and commit some crime, steal something, they're going to put me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't the cop have the same liability that normal people have?
Yeah. Well, there's a movement out there to remove qualified immunity. Is that still going? Is that still a
Well,
thing?
in the state of Nevada, if you've got a state claim, not a federal claim, but a state claim, the Nevada Supreme Court in December of 2022, they got rid of qualified immunity and they gave you what's called a cause of action to bring a lawsuit against a government employee. So, difference between a state claim versus a federal claim. If your state rights are violated, you can sue them in the state of Nevada, and they've got no immunity. They're subject to damages and paying you and all that other stuff as long as you prove your case. Federal courts still have qualified immunity. Cops not responsible unless the case law is clear that this was illegal and has been ruled on previously.
So, Kel, what do you think as far as like when we see some video of a police officer maybe not behaving properly or appearing as if they do not know what they're doing or talking about, what kind of perception does this have, as far as our public perception with our law enforcement?
I think it just kind of fosters the concept that, oh, cops are bad, because it's the stuff that gets shown is the negative stuff.
Right. But
so it seems like there's more of it than not. It's really only an 80-20.
The perception of law enforcement, I should have said, I guess. Like, how bad does that affect because like when we grew up, right, they're supposed to be our heroes. We looked up to them.
Protect and
whereas
serve.
now recruiting is down. It's hard to really talk people into, it's not looked at as the same as it used to be. So is this helping erode, I guess, our perception when people do go out and do auditing? Do you think?
I don't think it's the audit that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cops reacting badly and then those making sensationalized news. The audits aren't the problem at all. I think they're highly necessary and a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the cops' reactions, negative reactions, people getting exposed to that makes a generalization. Oh, another bad cop. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
Because nobody shows the good guy.
Yeah.
Nobody shows the guy who, takes the little girl, finds the little girl back to her mother, or, the corny olds and what we now think is like, oh, that's just corny or whatever, and, quaint.
And I would like to think that there's probably a lot more, say, good that happens out there that we don't see.
That you just don't see.
Like the basketball story. That if there wasn't somebody else that was taking that video, nobody would have ever seen that. Because Matt didn't go out there to say, hey,
promoting
take a video.
it.
Yeah,
right.
He was out there
Just
bonding with the youth, being a good guy and stuff like that. And so we have a couple of minutes to wrap this up here, you guys. So Drew, can you preview are you at liberty to kind of preview any upcoming audits or anything that you may have, or any kind of initiative that you haven't already discussed?
I haven't really gone out much and audited in the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Going to go out and do something tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Oh, there's a teaser. You guys canvass the area. So, hey, we're going to go ahead and
drove through the area yesterday.
I love it. Hey, and I want to say I appreciate your work.
Yeah.
You know, keep up the good work, and you know, we've known each other for a couple of years now. You know, so you know, I'm having fun watching you, and you're doing good work, and it's definitely worthy. You know, again, just like a law enforcement officer, of course, you're not as experiencing near as much, say, danger as they do, but you're doing something again that is, you know, maybe not the most popular thing, especially in the circles of law enforcement. But I think that the citizenry, if they really found out and discovered the premise again of why you guys go out there, and if they understood it more, instead of being in public and some guy with a camera's there, and you're just like, why are you taking pictures of me? Well, I wasn't taking pictures of you until you got into the frame of my camera. You see what I'm saying? So just if you see somebody auditing, just go about your business. Just leave them alone. You know, don't engage unless you want to become the star of the show, right?
Exactly. If you don't want to be on the camera, stay away from the camera.
That's right. That's right. So hey, another show in the books. This is the G-Man with Kel on What's the Matter podcast show.
Good.
Was that a good one? Do you like that?
Good one.
Yeah.
Good guess.
No, little surprising here, you know,
Very
in
nice.
the studio with Mr. Drew Ribar, the owner of A&A Towing. So hopefully you guys aren't going to need his services, but if you do, and you're looking through the, you know, Google, come up on A&A, you know, that's the guy that you want. He will take care of you. Give him a call. And so definitely check out his YouTube channel also, Auditing Reno 911.
That's me.
That's him. So this is G-Man Kel. We'll see you guys again next week. In the meantime, see you.